Good morning. Welcome to another Playbook trade review. And this is the second time that I'm doing this one because the sound did not record. So on the first iteration, so I guess I get another rep in here, which is always good. So today we're going to look at Circle CRCL Day 2 play, which happened on Friday, June 20th, 2025. So the bigger picture is that, as we all know, the Qs had a V-shaped, essentially V-shaped recovery, made a low kind of on tariff fears and Trump's tariff rhetoric, spiked up on a pause, 90-day pause, consolidated, made a lower high, and then pushed up as fears of the trade war and kind of this Trump always chickens out narrative took hold. And then more recently, we've been consolidating near the highs, kind of in the 35 to 520, which is just below our all-time high for the Qs. The week of this trade, things were a little quieter. It's a Fed week, as well as a shortened week with the Juneteenth holiday. And one of the unique features of this day 2 play was that day 1 was on a Wednesday. The market was closed on Thursday, and then Friday we opened up. So kind of a unique kind of schedule. So again, intraday on the Qs, we had kind of a gap up, sold pretty hard in the open down to this 525, 527 level, which is kind of the bottom of that multi-day range, and then kind of consolidated near the lows. So not really a check in favor on the long, and certainly a check in favor on the short side of this potential setup. So the VIX has been elevated. We're not at the 60 VIX environment, but we opened up at 19 with the strong down move in the markets, broke up to 21 and kind of held above the 20 area for most of the day, putting the broader market more in play. So Circle was one of the strongest stocks in the market on the previous trading day, which, like I said, was a Wednesday. It basically had a small drop out at the open and then trended all day. The volume on day 1 was probably 2 times average. And Circle is in a hot area, crypto, specifically stablecoin. And it's been one of the hottest IPOs of the year. So definitely some checks in favor on a second day being in play. So the catalyst, this is the day 1 catalyst, it surged 34%, closing just below 200. This catalyst was the Senate approval of the Genius Act, which included provisions on stablecoin, which would benefit Circle, which is a stablecoin company. It really reduces the uncertainty around regulation, provides clarity, and supports Circle's business. It's a long-term growth catalyst, shifting sentiment from risk to opportunity, and definitely produced a strong day 1 move. So day 2 trade strategy in general is, we're looking for stocks with a strong day 1 catalyst. We're looking for strong volume on day 1 and that volume to hold through day 2. And then we're either looking for continuation or a reversal trade. So on the continuation side, there's basically 2 setups. Typically, there's a break of day 1 high setup that typically happens in a strong bull market. We saw a ton of these last year, and I got very comfortable trading those. But the other iteration of this is a pullback into support continuation on a day 2, which is more of a developing trade for me. Specifically, you're looking for it to pull into 2-day VWAP or another day 1 level. Day 1 high, pre-market support, but a level from day 1 that holds, and then the stock turns and continues its way up, either into day 1 highs or potentially breaking out for further continuation. Another iteration of the day 2 can be a reversal where day 1 becomes very overextended, and then it pulls back into day one support, sort of move to move trade. There were a lot of people looking for the short on Circle on day two, which made it a very crowded trade on the short side. My specific daily plan on Circle was on the long side. I was looking for a strong market to be a check in favor, which we did not get. I was looking for a quick flush or pull back into the 210 or 215 area, put it a backside, and then that would be my A kind of setup or A trade for this setup. I think it's overall a B in general still, maybe an A. But I was willing to put double 20% on that, which was actually what happened, but I did not put 20% or trade it well, and we'll talk about that. But at least the fact that I'm looking for the right setup and my plan included that, I think is progress. Other options that I was looking at is a consolidation above 220, 225, and then a pre-market high break, which would be less exciting to me, but I would put 10% on that, or a 9 EMA continuation, which I would buy calls for 250. Circle basically had about a 3.5 R vol at the open. Kind of average for the day was 2. Average volume is about 40 million. We did about 90. Float's 197 million shares, and VIX is holding at 20. So this is a recent IPO. If we look at the technical analysis, interesting chart. Not used to charts like this. Not a lot of technical analysis to happen on this one. We had a strong IPO. We had an up week on the IPO. We had a consolidation week, and then we had a breakout week, which is the week we're talking about here. So I think it is worthwhile looking at charts like this because, in my couple years of trading, I haven't seen a lot of these. So I'm still learning how to trade them, and kind of they feel funky. But I think, putting the chart down and looking at them, they're no different than any other chart. Up move, consolidation, breakout is just simpler. If you look at the daily, we had a first move up for the first 2 days. We kind of trended up, consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days below kind of 140, gapped above and accepted price for 2 days, so hold that 140 level. And then we had this catalyst to break out above 166. And then now we're looking at day 2 where we gapped up and we're outside the value area day 1. And by the way, we had even more volume on day 2 than we had in volume on day 1, which is certainly a bullish thing. So, that's kind of the bigger picture technical. If you look at this, we zoom in, you can see kind of 140 is resistance. We're kind of consolidating below 140. We gap up to the 160s, above 140. We're holding or accepting that price. Then we have the catalyst, and we have a really strong trend developing. Kind of up move on day 1, gap up, holding above day 1 highs, which are around 200. Which you can see here, right? So, day 1, we just continue in the after hours. We have trouble at 215. We come below. We can't get below, I think, 208, which happens to be another level that played a role. We push up to the 240 level, fail, hold at 215, 240 again, fail. On the open, we push into 215 and even down to that 208 level. We hold, we find buyers putting a lower higher, and we're kind of off to the races. So kind of a bullish day 2. So normally in a day 2, we target 2-day VWAP as a good pull-in or support area. In this case, it was just so far out. We had such a strong day 1 move that there was a short trade in here to go to 2-day VWAP. If we didn't hold 215 and consolidated below like that 208 level, then we'd look for a break to 200, potentially testing out 2-day VWAP. But the stock was just simply too strong for that. So again, we closed at 200, gapped up, but we're finding support at 215 and ultimately at that 210, 208 level. Here's how I traded it, which, like I said, again, was not very good. Part of it as I looked at day 1 of coin, which was really a sympathy play with Circle. Looked at that. That was like a cool move that I felt like I could have caught. And so I spent too much time watching coin on this day. which took the focus away from the leader. I shouldn't have followed the follower. I should have followed the leader, because the chart on Circle was much better than Coin, which just kind of chopped around. And so I wasted mental energy and some capital on Coin. So what I did is I missed this consolidation at the lows and this rubber band. I did catch this backside, or actually fashionably late. Now it was a backside that I caught, but it was a really lame backside, and I just didn't have a lot of conviction. Thought this might become a VWAP continuation because of all this selling talk. Because that's the other thing I think I didn't do well, is I allowed everybody's hubris and machismo about this is a short and we're going to short it, to really cloud what was really a good long setup, and that's what my strategy was. So I should have just stuck with my strategy. I let other people's views kind of scare me a little bit. So I didn't hold well here. So this was like a small win. And then I did see this big dog. I bought it here. I partialed out at the highs, but then I moved my stop to break even again, thinking it was going to roll, that this was a fake break, and it held and it pushed up into 250. So again, just didn't have the conviction or the focus on this trade. And part of it is I'm not as comfortable with the pullback version of this as I am the break of day one highs and momentum. This was more of a patience position trade versus the momentum trade. So what I should have done is I should have entered on this backside, or on this rubber band, 10% of my daily stop with the stop below here, added 15% on the backside, and held for the first target being high of day. Sell 50% into high of day, which actually ended up here when you look at the tape, not here. And then potentially add when we put this higher low in, when we pop above VWAP, put 10% back in there, and then really hold to see what can happen. In this case, we get this really nice big dog. We get this second chance on the big dog, and then we push into 250, which is a good reason to sell. 80% into 250, hold 20%, see what happens. That point, to see what happens really isn't any better than the selling at 250, but it's worth checking it out. Sell last 20% in the close. So that's what I should have done. I don't think there was a ton of opportunity in the options side here. There was just too much volatility baked in. The options were way too expensive for 0 GTEs. But let's look at the tape. So on the tape, we had some really, really strong selling on the open. So there's nothing to do here. Just stand aside and let it play out. We do rip through the 215. We pull into this 208 level, which we talked about. And, we start to see some buying. It is worth looking at, too, that we had a late open here. So we weren't open for the first 3 minutes, and then a minute 4 is when the volume hit. That's when we opened. But our volume is not picking up. It's kind of fading, actually, into this level. So now we're kind of attempting to rally, and, if we were going to see a V shape, or if you were a rubber band trader, maybe you're looking at this for the rubber band. But I think given the amount of short interest, in this, because it was up too much and blah, 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 like this first, rubber band V shape was probably not the trade, and certainly not something I would take. And so we end up consolidating here at the lows for a bit, which I think if you're a short kind of makes you feel even better that maybe we're going to break down further and head for 2-day VWAP, and maybe retest at least 200 so that we got 8 more points in this. But, the risk to reward really isn't there either. If you think about this, where would your stop be on the short side? Your stop is above 215, and maybe you're entering at 208. And so, you're basically risking 8 points to make 8 points, like a 1-to-1 down to 200, which is probably a reason we didn't even go there, right? But we do consolidate at the lows, probably pulling in a bunch more shorts. Looks like we're going to break. It continues to look like we're going to break. So we're really not interested in here, right? We're just trading a range right now. So we got two scenarios. We either break the lows with high volume, and this becomes kind of an opening range break, which this extension here to me doesn't make it a good opening range break because we're already down quite a bit. Like if it consolidated in here, that would be a much better opening range break. But we've given up a lot of space, and we got a key support level coming up. So it's just not a great opening range break. And you can see by the volume that people are just standing aside, right? We have a battle here on the tape, but we don't have a direction. And so we roll down here, and I've watched this a couple times, so I don't feel like watching this. But this, if you're a short here, aside from the lack of volume and the fact that this is kind of extended off VWAP, like they said, the best range break is going to be in here. People are probably looking at this going, it's going to break and it's going to go to 200, and I'll put my stop here and, cheat it a little bit, and I'll be risking, 206 to 212. You're still risking like 6 points, and you're really going for 200 or break and flush down, but I don't know if that was going to happen. So now it looks like it's going to break, right? So this is probably drawing in more shorts. But the problem with this is like the tape is not speeding up. It's kind of just moseying its way down, going slow. The level 2 is just not doing anything, and the volume is not coming in here. I mean, to see a valid break, we would want to see a volume of at least 1 million shares, given that open was almost 2 million and we're averaging 750. We'd want to see a volume in here for a valid breakdown here. And I still don't know that this is a great trade because, like I said, where do you put your stop? This is drifting down, so you can put in a super tight stop, which, I mean, if you're seeing 1.5 million in volume, maybe. But when you're seeing like 250 in volume, which is lower, and we're trying to push down, but really nobody's selling. Like, look at the offers. 207. It's kind of stuck there. Are we printing? Do we have held up? Oh. Yeah, I mean, and we just not dropping. We dropped a little bit, but the bidders are stepping back in now. 207, 207.28. So let's look. Oh, size on the bid. 210. That was the size. That was it. So let's watch that again because that was it. The size came in on the bid. Let's see if we can catch it. Did you guys see that flash there? One more time. It was quick. So there's a little bit of size there, but there's going to be more coming in. Let's see if we can catch it. Let's see the size. That was it. There was 90, and it flashed again. And there we go. We caught some of the size. So now we have 99 at 208.75. And you're going to see that this is also the first time we break the 9 EMA. And so I think whoever got in here short is feeling like they're wrong. So that bid, there's more size on the bid, and we're popped up. So now you can be long with a stop at the lows. So that's a decent, I think it's probably an offside scalp or a rubber band style trade. But let's soup up the speed now, because I don't think there's anything particularly super exciting. But you can see the bidders are really stepping up now. Like the tape has changed. 212. So now we've had this range here. We tried to break the range and we had a failed break, and the volume is not superb, but there's more. And if the bidders are going to follow through, then we should see us step up and either break this range or consolidate in this range and then set up kind of a backside into VWAP, but more realistically targeting the highs of the day for this trade, given the bigger picture idea, given that this is one of the strongest stocks in the market on the previous day, had a strong catalyst. This is potentially a buying program kicking in here, right? And you can see like we're up to 214 and the bid is just stepping up. 214 and probably the people who got short in here are hitting out. That's this big up move is those people hitting out, and then plus buyers stepping in saying, okay, well, now this is a good price. This might be the lowest price of the day, which indeed it was. So, you can imagine here a little bit of a consolidation right here at the highs of this range, and then another break, which sends another slew of shorts scurrying out of this. And, really, instead of allowing myself to be influenced by people who thought this was a short, my long thesis is playing out, and those shorts are their feed for this rally and this move. Like the people who thought this was going to go down, they are causing this to go up. They're hitting out is creating an opportunity, and it's a much better risk reward trade. So now if we break above 215.90 with any bit of momentum, then that is, it's not the best backside, but we've got a little bit of a consolidation. And if we break that, I think this is worth putting another 15% on, because essentially this is our turn. This is our backside of this down move now. So let's watch the tape. Oh, there we just saw some size in the bid. Let's see if it follows through. 216, 215. Oh, there we go. We're up. So that's it. 15% size here. Stop on the entire position is still one stop here and one stop here. Although I don't think I would let the entire thing come against me. I think I'm out on this. And I think on the second lot, I'm probably out in here. So now we get a relatively quick move into VWAP. No reason to sell here. We're holding for a bigger picture idea. We're holding for a move up to the highs. And look at that, more short covering right there. As we punch through VWAP, people are like, I am wrong. People got short in here. People got short against VWAP. They're all wrong. And they are fueling this move up to the highs. And we should actually see volume build, which we're not seeing. So now we punch up high a day right here. We should have some offers out. And we did not quite hit it. But we're going to keep holding for those offers to hit. High a day. A little bit of selling, but as long as we hold above VWAP, nothing to worry about. Just a consolidation above VWAP. So now we're pushing up again. Let's see if the buyers can push us in a high a day. And there you go. Out on 50%. Stop for the entire position. Now moves to break even on the remaining 50%, which is probably right around this red line. And we don't have any more tape there, but it puts in a lower high and keeps on going up. So that's the trade. So what did I do well? I think I picked the right stock. I think being open to the long or short was good. I think recognizing the backside and getting involved and even trading the big dog, those are all good things. I think essentially what I did right is I recognized the catalyst to set up in some of the trades. I just missed part of putting this all together and sizing it right and conviction, which is part of where I'm developing. I think I learned that you got to focus on the number one stock and not the sympathy play. Like I said, I spent too much mental capital on coin. I also learned that allowing my bias or my focus to be swayed by people who are getting rah-rah short, instead of seeing it as an opportunity, that people are aligned on the wrong side of the boat, was something I learned. And I think I could have focused on this ticker. I think I could have used that market-generated information about people wanting to be short on this as all kind of checks in favor on the long. And so I've been pretty clear about how I would trade this differently. So good trade to add to the second day playbook, which I'm going to continue to build, and a great learning experience. So hopefully whoever's watching this is benefiting from my mistakes and my learnings, and gives me another rep on a really interesting trade.